There are moments in life when it feels like you're standing still while everything else keeps moving. You wake up, do what needs to be done, and go back to sleep. But inside, something feels heavy. Not dramatic, not loud, just tired. You don't always know how to explain it. You're not falling apart in public. You're functioning, but deep down, you're carrying the quiet disappointment of realizing that no one is coming to rescue you. No sudden message. No perfect opportunity. No person who finally understands everything and makes it all easier. And that realization hurts more than people admit. Because at some point, many of us were waiting for motivation to return, waiting for someone to notice how exhausted we are, waiting for life to give us a clear sign that things will get better. Instead, life stayed silent, and in that silence, a dangerous thought can creep in. If no one is coming, does that mean I'm truly alone? If you've ever felt that way, let me say this clearly. You're not weak for feeling it. You're human. This kind of tiredness doesn't come from laziness. It comes from carrying too much for too long without feeling supported. From being strong when you didn't have a choice. From showing up even when you didn't feel like yourself anymore. What makes it harder is that, from the outside, your life might look fine. People assume you're okay. So you stop explaining. You stop reaching out. You tell yourself, others have it worse. I should handle this. And slowly, you start disappearing inside your own life. Here's the truth. Most people don't say out loud. At some point, everyone realizes that no one is coming to save them, and that realization can feel crushing, or it can become the beginning of something honest. Because while no one may be coming to rescue you, you are still here, breathing, listening, enduring. That matters more than you think. You might feel alone right now, but you are not the only one who has ever stood where you're standing. Millions of people have had this same quiet moment. The moment when they stop waiting and start wondering what to do next. This video isn't here to lecture you. It's not here to tell you to stay positive or try harder. It's here to sit with you in this moment, without judgment, without pressure. And before we go any further, I want you to hold one question gently in your mind. Not to answer perfectly, just to feel Italiano. If you were the only friend you had right now, what would you say to yourself? Losing motivation rarely happens all at once. It doesn't arrive like a breakdown. It arrives like erosion. Little by little, something wears you down. Most people think motivation disappears because they're lazy or undisciplined. But that's almost never the real reason. Motivation disappears when effort stops feeling meaningful. When you try and nothing seems to change. When you give your best and it's still not enough. When days blur together and progress feels invisible. Your mind starts asking questions you don't say out loud. What's the point? Why am I trying so hard just to stay in the same place? Is this really all there is? Another reason motivation dies is constant self-comparison. You scroll through other people's lives, their success, their confidence, their clarity, and you quietly measure yourself against them. Even if you don't believe everything you see, the comparison still leaves a mark. It makes your own life feel smaller, slower, behind. And then there's emotional exhaustion, the kind no one sees. Being the reliable one, the strong one, the one who doesn't complain. Over time, strength without support turns into numbness. You stop feeling excited, you stop feeling angry. You just feel flat, not sad enough to cry, not hopeful enough to dream just existing. Many people also lose motivation after disappointment. Not one big failure, but several quiet ones. Plans that didn't work, promises that didn't last. People who said they'd be there and weren't. After a while, your mind learns a dangerous habit. It stops expecting good things to happen, and when hope shrinks, motivation goes with it. Here's the part most people don't understand. You don't lose motivation because you don't care. You lose motivation because you care deeply for too long without feeling safe, seen, or rewarded. So if you're asking yourself why you feel stuck, drained, or disconnected, the answer isn't that something is wrong with you. The answer is that you've been surviving, not living. And survival mode keeps you alive, but it slowly disconnects you from purpose. That's why waiting for motivation to magically return doesn't work. Motivation doesn't come first. It follows something else. And that's what we'll talk about next. If motivation doesn't come first, what does? Not confidence, not discipline, not some dramatic decision to change your life. What comes first is permission. Permission to stop waiting for the perfect version of yourself. Permission to move forward while still feeling tired. Permission to be imperfect and still act. Most people stay stuck because they believe movement requires energy they don't have. But the truth is simpler. Movement creates energy, not big movement, not life-changing action, just honest, human movement. One small choice that says, I'm still here. It might be getting out of bed and opening the window. It might be taking a 10-minute walk without headphones. It might be finishing one small task instead of planning a whole new life. These things don't look impressive. They don't feel powerful, but they reconnect you to yourself. Another shift is changing how you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. Most people are brutal to themselves in private. They say things they would never say to a friend. You should be further by now. Why can't you just get it together? Everyone else can do this. Why not you? That voice doesn't create strength. It creates fear. Try something different. Not fake positivity, just fairness. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what do I need right now? Instead of saying, I'm failing, say, I'm tired, and tired people need rest, not shame. This doesn't make you weak. It makes you sustainable. Another important shift is letting go of the idea that your next step has to solve everything. It doesn't. It only has to reduce the weight you're carrying by 1 degree. One conversation, one boundary, one small act of honesty. Life doesn't change in breakthroughs. It changes in direction. And direction is something you can choose even on your worst days. Here's something quiet but powerful to remember. You don't need to believe in yourself to take care of yourself. You just need to treat yourself like someone worth not giving up on. And maybe the most important shift of all is this. Stop seeing yourself as someone waiting to be saved. Not because help isn't valuable, it is, but because you already carry something stronger than rescue. You carry presence. You are the one who wakes up with you, the one who hears your thoughts, the one who survives the nights no one else sees. When you begin acting from that place, not pressure, not hope, just presence, motivation slowly returns. Not as excitement, but as steadiness. And sometimes, steadiness is what changes everything. Next, I want to share a story. Not a perfect one, not a heroic one, just a human one. There was a man named Daniel. Not famous, not remarkable on paper, just someone trying to hold his life together. In his early 30s, Daniel lost 3 things within the same year. His job, a long-term relationship, and the sense that his life was moving somewhere meaningful. At first, he told himself it was temporary. Istajed busy sent applications, said he was fine. But months passed. Rejections became routine. Friends stopped checking in. Not out of cruelty, but because everyone was busy with their own lives. And slowly, Daniel stopped believing that effort led anywhere. He didn't collapse. He didn't have a dramatic breakdown. He just shrank. He woke up later, spoke less, stopped imagining a future. At night, he would sit on the edge of his bed and think, if no one notices if I disappear, does it even matter that I'm here? One evening, after another long day of doing nothing and feeling ashamed of it, Daniel caught himself staring at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. He didn't feel hatred. He felt distance. Like he was looking at someone he used to know. And something small, almost unimportant happened. He didn't give himself a speech. He didn't promise to change. He simply said, out loud, okay, if no one is coming to save you, what are you going to do tonight? Not tomorrow. Not with your life. just tonight. The answer surprised him. He said, "I'm going to eat something decent and go to bed before midnight." That was it. No transformation, no motivation rush, but did Italiano. The next day, he asked himself the same question, and again, he chose something small. A short walk. One application sent carefully instead of 10 sent desperately. A message to one person he trusted, not to ask for solutions, just to be honest. Weeks passed. Nothing miraculous happened, but something important did. Daniel started feeling present in his own life. Again, he stopped waiting to feel confident before acting. He stopped needing proof that things would work out. He began treating himself like someone whose life was still in progress, not someone who had already failed. Months later, his life didn't look perfect, but it looked alive, and one day, he realized something quietly powerful. No one had come to save him, but he had stopped abandoning himself, and that changed everything. At some point in life, we all face the same moment, the moment when we realize that no one is coming to rescue us. No perfect timing, no sudden clarity, no hand reaching in at the last second to pull us out. And yes, that truth can feel heavy. But here is the part that often gets missed. The same moment you realize no one is coming is the moment you are no longer waiting. And waiting is what keeps people stuck. You don't need to become stronger than you are. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You don't need to fix your whole life. You only need to stop leaving yourself behind. Because even now, tired, unsure, carrying doubts you don't talk about, you are still here, still breathing, still listening, still capable of choosing one small act of care. And that matters more than motivation ever will. If you were the only friend you had, the one who hears your thoughts at night, the one who walks with you through the quiet days, you wouldn't shame that friend for being tired. You would sit with them. You would speak gently. You would remind them they don't have to figure everything out today. So, try this. Just once. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you refuse to give up on. Not with pressure, not with threats, but with honesty and patience. Because the truth is this: no one is coming to save you. But you are not alone as long as you stay with yourself. And maybe that's the kind of strength that lasts. If these words stayed with you, if they felt like they were speaking a truth you haven't had language for, save this video. Come back to it on a day when the weight feels heavier. And if you feel ready, share it not because you have the answers, but because someone else might be asking the same quiet question you are. If you were the only friend you had, what would you say to yourself today?